Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at jonnydelsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Whew, it's been forever since we last talked. I feel like it's been a year. Starting off with a good dad joke. It is the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that answers.
You didn't execute it right. It's. I feel like it's been since last year. Because a year.
I don't have any kids.
I'm just saying. Saying.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. We are excited to talk Niners, Seahawks. Good day of football. Well, somewhat. I mean, some teams didn't even score. Some teams got blown out. That game last night was probably the best, the best game. And yes, Quiffleball says that last game was so freaking hype and we couldn't do a show. But look, I want to say something because the amount of time that Johnny does give to the faithful is Captain Insano. If you know that reference, by the way. And so we are just grateful for the time. And he's on vacation now. He is not in a library. That is a virtual background. He is on vacation and he is spending time with you. So I am extremely grateful. Yes, that game was hype. We should maybe talk a little bit about that game since we didn't get a chance to. Johnny, what do you have to say about the Chicago Bears?
They impressed me with their offense. Now, I did watch the film. I spent a couple hours with it the day after the game. I will say we had a lot of defensive issues in that game. The communication,
a few.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we've talked about it all season. The 49ers defense has been struggling with communication, especially since Fred Warner went down. But even before Fred Warner went down, there was a lot of just communication errors. It had been getting better over the last number of weeks. But if there's anybody in the league that's going to stress your communication through their shifts and motions and through smart shifts and motions, I should say that, not just doing it just to do it, but has a purpose behind it. There's, I think, three guys in the league that are tops in that, and that's going to be Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, and Ben Johnson. Those are guys that are going to really stress you with that, stress you in the run game, and then tie that into the pass game. And that's exactly what we saw. And they were able to execute that at a high level on their end. And on our end, we had just a lot of breakdowns. 4th and 5 on the last drive of the game is a perfect example. I showed it on my Twitter account that, D Winters is playing that as a weak side player, which normally he's the will, right? That's his spot, is the will linebacker. And then they change the strength right before the snap. He continues to play it like a will, tries to pick up what he thinks is the number 3 on a crossing route. It's the number 2 on the weak side. And that's not his job. And so he vacates the number 3 on his side, and the tight end's sitting there uncovered. And so you have D Winters and Jair Brown trying to both cover a crossing route, a deeper crossing route, and underneath the tight end is wide open because you didn't even cover him because you didn't account for it after the change of strength. So so there was communication issues were part of what led into that game. Now with that being said, yes, it was a shootout. The Bears also didn't score 38 points on offense. They scored 31. Uh, so you look at that game and think, okay, that was an absolute shootout, and it was. If not for the first play of that game,
Yeah.
the Bears defense only stopped the 49ers offense twice. Thomas Morstead punted twice in the game. Outside of that, it was 6 scoring drives. So there's 7. I need my coffee. But you look at that game and think, okay, that game easily could have been 49-31. And yes, it's a high scoring game, but it's not a shootout, and it's not really in question for a bit of it because the 49ers were just rolling against that defense. Dennis Allen had 0 answers for Brock Purdy. The run game is continuing to get going. It's been something that I talked about since week 1. I talked about it here. I talked about it with stats on the show we do Thursdays. We didn't do this one because I'm on vacation. But that it felt like the run game was so close. You looked at so many different plays and it was like, oh, they're so close to popping one. They're so close to popping one. They're gonna hit, because the difference wasn't that Christian McCaffrey had slowed down. The difference wasn't that their normal run game wasn't looking normal. It was that they weren't hitting any explosives. And that was what skewed the numbers. If you look at the past 49ers rushing attacks and you take away 2 or 3 explosives a game, they're going to look exactly like this, like 3.3, 3.5 yards per carry. That's what it mostly is outside of the explosives. It's not a lot of 8 and 9 yard runs. There's a lot of 1 yard run, a lot of 2 yard run. That's been the 49ers offense for years. That's the way this wide zone works, is that it's about stressing, then getting a counter and hitting an explosive. But you have to continue to convert on third downs. We'd seen that they were getting, just inching closer. Um, and so it was like you could see it happening throughout the year, and then finally they hit an explosive this week, a 40+ yarder, the first time all season. And so they're getting that down at the right time, and a lot of that really does have to do with guard, center, guard actually getting one healthy and playing together for multiple weeks. Those are the 3 guys that, when we really look at this wide zone and how it's going to play out from side to side, really have the most to do with that, with executing, getting those explosives. And it's wild to think about here at week 18 that guard, center, guard is healthy and playing 4 or 5 consecutive games for the first time all season, since going back to OTAs. So big deal, and that's a big reason why we were able to get an explosive. And then that ties everything down to the offense. Brock was phenomenal. I mean, absolutely unreal. 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks. There's a lot of quarterbacks that they score 10 touchdowns in 5 weeks. You're saying they're on a heater, that they're doing
Cam Ward. Titans fans say that Cam Ward is on an absolute tear right now, and it's exactly that. Ti said it in our show that Cam Ward has thrown 2 touchdown passes in 5 games in a row. He was elated. And I said, That's cute. I told him it was cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely wild to think about. And really, since Brock's been back, the 49ers have not been beat since he's come back, that he's come back healthy. We see the difference between Brock when he was playing against the Jaguars versus now. I see my wife's in the chat from the other room.
Nice background.
Nice
Yeah. Reading books lately, Johnny?
Yeah. No, actually, I forgot to bring my book. I've been working on a book, the Oxford History of the French Revolution. So didn't bring my book.
Of course you have. Of course you are. So, all right, a couple things to get to. One, super chat, Hoffman's Hoopties, good looking out, and that paid for the coffee that you are now drinking. Get yourself a cocktail mocktail of choice on vacay, P.S. It's been 8,153 days since San Francisco scored
That
exactly
is a
49
phenomenal
points.
stat. Did you have
That
AI pull that stat, or I
stat
mean,
of the
is that
day,
somewhere
stat of the
like
day.
in the back of the library? That's
Yeah, the
locked in
library
there.
got him
My
thinking.
goodness,
And then Rich
that's an
Abbey,
incredible stat to pull. I mean, that's awesome.
yeah, thanks for the super chat. Rich Abbey also checks in with a super chat. How can the defense get better for this game? I think linebacking is our weakness and our biggest hope, which is a great segue because that was my question. And there's been some other questions like this in the chat about Robert Saleh, things like this. What is it, linebackers? What do you think? And we're talking now just strictly Seattle and based on what they do as well.
Um, I mean, a challenge with this defense, and you saw it exactly kind of exploited on Sunday night, is you don't have even a top 10 player anywhere on the field for that defense. Um, that becomes really hard. In a lot of ways, you don't have a top 20 player in a lot of areas on the field. So, um, I mean, the reason I'm hesitating a little bit is because if you just go off PFF rankings, and I am not a PFF ranking kind of scoring kind of guy. I don't I don't judge a lot based on that because there is so much that assignment wise, it can be a little bit muddy, especially if you don't nail down exact, follow a team and chart and catalog the ways they are and kind of reverse engineer everything that they do so that you can, really nail down on who does what and responsibilities. But if you look at the PFF rankings, when they went through the defense, I don't think there was a single guy ranked higher than 25th in the league at their spot. Many guys were like 48th, 80th, sort of a thing. You look at defensive line. I mean, this is truly a no-name defense. If you were to ask anybody from other teams, who is a defensive standout for the 49ers, or who's somebody that you would be worried about on our defense, and I don't think anybody's mentioning anybody. It would be hard for anybody from other teams to mention any player, maybe outside of D Winters, just because of the recent interception return for a touchdown. Maybe Diamador Lenore because of some social media stuff, but outside of that, on defense, I mean, does anybody know who Tatum Bethune is outside of the 49ers building? Does
No.
anybody know who Sam Okuwanu is outside of the 49ers building? Who Jordan Elliott is, who Kalia Davis is, uh, who Jair Brown is, who, any of these guys. When you start putting these pieces together, there's a lot of shining kind of moments. But there's a lot of deficiency moments. And so when I look at this defense, what is hard is that you can't just say, okay, everybody's going after this guy. Like everybody's going after Tatum Bethune. Everybody's going after Darrell Luter or Renardo Green, or everybody's going after Demo, or everybody's going after Jair Brown. There's no single moment where people are leaning into one player, because Robert Saleh is also good at, if you try and do that, he's going to be able to use that against you. But what there is a lot of is, on this play it's this guy, on this play it's here, on this play it's that. And there's a lot of, we're not worried that you guys are, if we throw it at 2 yards, that we're only going to get 3 yards. So, based upon that, there's not like with Fred Warner, he could diagnose things and diagnose where a quarterback was going to go with the ball be right as that quarterback was getting into his throwing motion. And so he's arriving when the ball is being caught or something, and the pursuit is there. And so it's limiting all of these plays to 2 and 3 yards. And so you're getting into a lot of third and fives, third and fours, third and sixes, sort of a thing. And you're keeping these offenses, they're getting penalties. And so, okay, now you're getting them in a lot of third and longs. And then you're able to really, Fred's taken away the entire middle of the field, and you're able to get off the field. Right now, they can't do that. there's far too many first downs happening on second down. And like the Bears were not great on third down last game. They actually weren't. I think they started out 0-3 on third down, but they had scored, I think, 3 times during that point because they were getting a lot of first downs on first and second down. So you're not doing well enough on the early downs. You're not getting teams into those opportunities. And that's, I think, the challenge with this defense is, that's an area. I think a lot of the defense is just they're missing their blue chip players. On the other side, you have that glimmer of hope. Can Fred Warner come back in the playoffs? And if you can win this game and you get the number 1 seed, can Fred Warner come back in the playoffs? Does that bring a big boost? Now, how much of Fred's going to be rusty? I don't think there really is anything called rust with Fred. That guy lives and breathes football. Literally, he is sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber.
We're not worried.
And that if there's anybody who is probably dialed into the game plans every week right now still is Fred Warner. So in all of it, this defense, I don't see them suddenly, even if Fred comes back, being a 17 points or less defense. Like they're just not going to be that. I guess the hope is that there's some offenses that you're going to be that you could be playing in the playoffs that are not guaranteed 32 plus point a game
the
offense.
Eagles,
there's not those elite explosive offenses. When you look at the Seattle offense, they are not one of those elite explosive. Like they're going to against everybody put up 27 points or more. The Rams clearly have not been capable of being consistent on offense. I do wonder if Matthew Stafford is starting to grind down on him, as we had talked about at the beginning of the year when they were going really well and they were 8-2. And we said, and we talked about this. I said, I just wonder what is he going to be able to hold up into December and January? And you look at Matthew Stafford in December, and his play performance has dropped off a cliff. Now, some of that is Devontae Adams being out, but he went like, what was it, 30 some touchdown passes to no interceptions for a little while in there. And then now it's been turning the ball over left and right. You wonder, is that back starting to creep in there? Is there a little bit of tightness that he's having? So are they, they're a team that doesn't quite, they don't seem like they're completely unstoppable. Like we lost our last game to them on October 9th, or November 9th. It was my birthday. When they went up 21-0 right at the beginning. I don't see that same offense right now. You look, like you said, the Eagles, Panthers probably will get the number 1 seed. I think they're going to beat the Bucks this weekend. I could be wrong. I just feel like the way their momentum of the season is going, the way that Tampa Bay's momentum of the season is going, if Tampa Bay makes it into the playoffs, they're going to be immediately bounced, I think, by whoever they play.
Us, if we lose.
Yeah, I mean, if we lose, but we're not going to lose. We're not going to lose.
No.
And Green Bay has been hit with just devastating injuries.
They're done.
And I mean, they just signed
Diggs from the Cowboys.
I mean, that's wild. But
that is very wild.
They don't have an offense that I look at and I say, okay, this is an offense you can't stop. The Bears is the most dangerous offense in there. But even with that, I look at it and I go,
Caleb defunks himself.
I think
like it's just.
Well, again, I think if you gave this 49ers defense a second run at him, I think it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see. A few things here. So, first thing is I agree with Bill Manzara, who says when your defense is average Joes, they cannot have brain farts. They have to be scheme and assignment sound, period. I agree. Also, a couple more super chats. Lisa, good morning, Lisa. Are we for Demo shadowing JSN? That was going to be a question of mine, so we might as well just ask right now. He wants all the smoke.
He does, and I love that attitude out of Demo.
But there's a but in there, right?
Well,
Well, yeah, you could say it.
Well, no, I mean, just the way Robert Sala answered it, I think, is what I've said for a while about shadowing. This kind of tends to come up each year with a top receiver of, is this guy going to shadow the other guy? So I've said this. I listened to Robert Sala's answer, and I was like, that's the same thing I've been saying for a couple of years. There's pros and cons. Okay, if you have him shadow, um, that limits what you can disguise on defense. And when you have a guy like Sam Darnold that's very much reliant on getting the right data, getting into the correct look, and when he knows that number one's going to be there, he's a really hard quarterback to beat. John Chapman had talked about it a couple of years ago when Sam Darnold was with us, and it was training camp. He said, on his first read, Sam Darnold was the best 49ers quarterback. It was when you had to move past that number one, when it was into one hitch and two hitches, that things started to break down for Sam. Sam struggles with the timing of that and timing of being able to adjust his timing. Say you get one hitch and then the ball's got to come out, but it's going to go to the second hitch. Can you change the velocity of the ball so that it takes a little bit longer to get there, so that the timing of you're still going to get it to your receiver at the right moment, at the right landmark? And that's why you see a lot of times Sam Darnold, when he does rush, the ball tends to hit grass. Like he'll hit one hitch and then tries to rush the ball out, and the ball hits grass, and everybody kind of goes, "What happened there?" Because no one was home, or it's just a little bit in front of the receiver. It's because he doesn't understand how to change the velocity on the ball to get to the landmark at the right, where the ball is arriving at the right time. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
because he
like,
sees ghosts.
well, not because he necessarily sees ghosts. Sometimes there's
Yeah.
legitimate pressure. It's like he doesn't, like, Brock's really good at, he can slide cha-cha slide to the left, and then drop a ball on more, feather it in there, and it's going to take a little bit longer to arrive, but that allows his receiver to catch up to the ball in the window, at the landmark, at the right time. And so, where Sam doesn't have the ability to do that, and that's not necessarily a knock on Sam. A lot of quarterbacks don't know how to do that. Very few actually do. Brock is one of those. But so, like, if you give Sam Darnold a clear picture, then he's going to be a lot tougher to stop, and that offense is going to be a lot tougher to stop. So, if you're shadowing Jackson Smith and Jigba with Demo, that's telling them we're going to be in man coverage.
Right.
You just are. You're just saying this is man coverage. And so they can sit there and give JSN option routes all day long, where he's got an in and out go. And that makes life really hard on Demo. They're going to bring him in motion, and they're going to create leverage. So he's automatically got outside leverage crossing the field while Demo's trying to follow him. And then he's going to run an out breaking route that has a rub action. And that's going to be really hard for Demo. If you sit there and try and do that all game long, that's really tough. And everybody's got to be on board if you're doing that. That guy, if he comes in motion, and there's going to be a rub interference in that corner, better be alert to it. If that's Renardo Green, or that's Upton Stout, or that's Jason Pinnock, they've got to be alert to that motion coming across, and they've got to jam that guy at the line so that interference can't happen, and Demo isn't put in a bad spot. Like, everybody has to be on the same page on that kind of stuff. So you lose advantage as far as what you can present to the offense when you're doing that. If you say, okay, well, we're going to still have him shadow, but we're then going to still run some of these zone coverages, which we've done some of in the past, but that was also with a veteran team. Now you're asking, okay, if they bring Smith and Jigba in motion and we're going to move Demo, everybody has to be able to account for every slot that Demo moves over. If he's outside corner and then he's slot, now the slot guy has to become the outside corner, and
Right.
Demo's got to play the slot zone. And then when he moves to the next guy, it's going to be Tatum Bethune. And so Tatum Bethune's now got to play a curl flat, which he doesn't hardly ever play. And Demo's got to play hook zone, which he doesn't play. And then and just across the board, and be on page with who's got what and what the coverage rules are. Like, it makes the job for 6 other guys really tough, because they've got to change their assignment and understand, things. And these are things that they practiced and have almost in muscle memory or should at this point. We're still seeing some breakdowns, but like these things are happening as you go. This could be a recipe if you do that for massive blown coverages. I think they may do that a couple times in very specific situations, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think that's what I'm looking for as well. Let's check in with another super chat. Cayman's Island, what's up? Happy New Year. He says, I was pleasantly, I see what you did there, surprised with Pleasance. I think we all were. And I know he's bigger than Trent. Do you think he can keep this up? Our O line is underrated. They are getting better. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the hamstring that is on everyone's mind. Let's talk about what Pleasance did.
Hamstring
Gave
hurt
up
around the world.
Yeah. And the big deal is, as it's been well documented, I'm sure I'm not breaking news, is that this has not happened. And it sucks that it happened only because of Brock's decision to throw that ball, which I didn't agree with. It wasn't a good throw. And
Look, let me just, address that. That was the first. Okay, so that's the very first play of the game. That's an absolutely scripted play. Okay, understand that they've practiced that. They've run that play probably to open practice every game, every practice this week. So there,
which is
and there
why
was
that
nothing
can't
in
happen.
there.
Which is why that can't happen. You just can't.
Right, but okay, where's Brock's eyes supposed to be on that play? Is his
Probably where
eyes
he's
on the
throwing.
corner? No, no, that's not how Brock works. Brock reads the defense, right? So his eyes on that play, it's a slant flat. That play is on the inside hook defender, which was the linebacker who ended up coming down with the interception, but after it was broken up by the
Well,
corner,
right
right?
after that's what I'm saying. The breakup,
Okay,
not
so
the
so
pick is just
the
dumb luck, but it was
right,
set up by the
but
poor
the
throw.
but the throw, but well, okay, the corner jumped the pass, okay, and it was like it's one of those moments. Tip your cap to the defense because that corner read the route the whole way. Juwan Jennings did not run a good route. I mean, this has been a problem with Juwan for a number of plays this season. We've thrown 8 interceptions targeting Juwan Jennings. Like he's brought a lot to the red zone, but in
Right.
there we've seen far too many plays like this. 8 interceptions between our quarterbacks targeting Juwan Jennings. That's far too many for any receiver to have. The thing is that what triggered that throw was the motion from Juice. So they motioned Juice out to bump him out. 53, the linebacker, only took 1 step. So that triggered the throw. It was a throw that they got the look that they had been practicing against all week. They got a motion and it was going to read, did this guy take 3 steps out or does he take 1 step out? And he took 1 step out, so it immediately triggered the throw. So I can't sit here and say that was a bad decision by Brock. That he was doing probably exactly what they had coached him for and put and shown him looks of all week long. When you have a play like that, your receiver cannot lose like that.
And it
That's
was
on the
more that
receiver.
the throw looked off, but it was because you're saying Jawan wasn't where he was supposed to be. So when it
No, I'm
looked like
saying the corner jumped
his
the pass so hard that that's what caused it to break up. I mean that throw is not ever meant to be, corner and receiver in the same spot at the same time.
yeah,
And again, just tip a cap to the Bears. I mean, they're number 1 in the league in takeaways for a reason. They
yeah.
do things like that every once in a while.
And so
But
Trent
after
tried to
that, they just
chase
got rolling. Yeah.
So what we're talking about back to the O line is then Trent Williams tried to chase the play on the pick,
Which dude
came
was
up.
running like a madman. I mean, when I watched it on film, I was like, "Oh my lord!" Trent Williams is not retiring after this year. That man is still faster than pretty much any offensive lineman in the league. Like when you look at a guy who's 37 years old and he's still faster than every other lineman in the league, and people say, "Oh, can he still play?"
Yeah, he can.
Trent Williams, what makes Trent Williams special is not that he's fast. It's that he's, without his speed, as good as any other lineman, any other tackle in the league. Then you add the bonus of the speed, and he becomes the best tackle in the league. And so when you look at this guy, you say, okay, he is still faster than anybody in the league. Sorry, my daughter just came in. open the door. You couldn't see it because it's in the library.
Right. You
Um,
can see.
but uh, that's what makes him special. And so when you see that, like, he's still faster than everybody, dude could lose 1 or 2 miles an hour on his speed, and he would still be faster than 75% of the offensive linemen in the league. So that means he's still one of, if not the best. Like, he's going to be top five in this league. He's got at least 2 more years as top five in this league.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yes, Pleasance came in, only gave up the one sack, really kept his name out of the broadcast, which is what you want. You don't want to be
Yeah.
hearing that guy's name over and over. You just don't want to hear
And
that.
especially when you're playing against a guy like Sweat, who's there, that the Bears made a big trade for. Uh, if you remember, that was a big acquisition for them of going and getting Sweat from the Commanders, and so, like, seeing him being able to hold up in those situations with all of those dropbacks, and it wasn't like Brock was just every play getting the ball up quick or every play scramble drill. There was a lot of plays it was, we're asking you to hold up through 5 steps and 5-step drop and 2 hitches, and he was holding up. So this offensive line has really started to come together. They are sneakily being, I think, a top 10 unit in the league right now. 49ers fans, we don't like to hear that because there hasn't been a big investment and change, but they are playing as a top 10 unit in the league. I mean, when you look around the league and you say, what offensive lines are playing better than the 49ers offensive line? I think Chicago's got the best offensive line in the league. I think that was a big part of the Bears' success. I mean,
They
when
put a
you
lot
look
of
at that
time and
offensive
effort
line,
and money into it.
they
Yeah, they
well,
have.
they have 3 guys that I think are top 5 at their position.
From the
And
Chiefs,
so,
they got right. They really in the
yeah,
offseason.
because they got Tooney.
Tooney,
They got Dahlman. Then their right guard has been playing really well. Their right tackle is playing really well. So I mean,
Tallman.
their offensive line, they probably have, I think, the best offensive line in the league. But outside of that, we put the Chiefs offensive line as one of the tops in the league. They have not been playing like a top offensive line in this league. Their run game is struggling. Their pass game is putrid. They've won 2 games this year where they did not complete a single pass in the second half. Not one. That is not because their offensive, like, their defense has been keeping them in games. Their offense is terrible. They're kind of the bizarro 49ers right now.
Bizarro.
And I mean, I'm not scared of the Eagles' offensive line. I'm looking at that and saying, okay, they've been banged up all year. They're not playing well.
Their offense in
You look at,
general, yeah, it's not.
I mean, maybe the Broncos, but I mean, they got our old pal Mike McGlinchey over there. Um, you just look around the league and you say, okay, offensive lines, the 49ers, their unit is playing as top 10. They just are. And so they're peaking at the right time. They're coming together at the right time. You win this game without Trent, and you get that extra week. Trent is coming back divisional round. Like, you are not keeping him off the field. I think most of what he's, we saw, he was like, he was walking very gingerly. Well, when you're 330 pounds and you hurt your hamstring, it's a big deal. But on the other side, when a guy's never dealt with a hamstring, it weirds you out. I pulled my hamstring twice. The first time I did it, it was a cold weather game. I was uh, playing high school football, and we were blowing this team out. So, like, I hadn't been out on the field for like 2 quarters. I mean, we were up like 40 something to 7, I think. And we had our backup offense scored on these guys, and we had to go kickoff coverage. And I hadn't been running around for like 40 minutes at that point. It was 30 degrees, I think, that game. Went out there in kickoff coverage, pulled my hammy. Muscles were cold, and it's a weird feeling. Now, if it's a slight thing like that happened to me, I played the next week. It was a very slight hammy pull, but felt it. And it was uncomfortable it was really uncomfortable the first 2 days, and then it kind of eases up. I've had a worse hamstring pull later in life, and that one lingered for about 3 weeks. So I mean, there's the first time it happens to you, it like throws you off very much. You don't know what's happening to your body. And Trent Williams said this is the first time it ever happened. So I would not be surprised. You give Trent a week off, and he's going to come back. And you're looking at in the NFC, just doing a quick, kind of survey around where teams are at and the health of different lines. You may have the second best offensive line in the NFC.
Which is wild to think about how much time we've invested on this very program about the offensive line. So to be clicking right now,
you look at Seattle's offensive line; they're garbage. Like they're not good. The biggest bright spot they've had on their offensive line is Gray Zabel. Outside of that, it's been a struggle fest. Charles Grant has been okay, but I don't put him in the top 15 of tackles in the league, and he's been hurt. So, I mean, their center guard right tackle is a problem for them. I mean, go back to the first game against the 49ers. How did Seattle lose that game? It's because their right tackle got driven back into Sam Darnold. Their run game has been worse than the 49ers run game. And I mean, they're a problem. Their offensive line not good. LA's offensive line we saw against Atlanta was a problem.
That was a weird game, man. Jesse Bates,
was a weird game
from Fort Wayne.
That's he got that pick, and I was like, I bet you had him is smiling ear to ear right now.
I was so happy.
But Green Bay's offensive line has not been good. They've been allowing a ton of pressure. They've been really, really struggling. You look at Carolina, their offensive line has not been good. I mean, so you just look around the NFC and you say it's the Bears who are a good clip above the 49ers, but then there's a big gap, and it's like 49ers and then everybody else as far as offensive line performance. So, if this team's going to go anywhere, the offensive line is going to be what carries them. That's what I think going forward.
So another super chat real quick. I want to get back into some Seattle stuff, but Bosmine, what's up, man? Sorry, came in late. No worries. Did you both see Dante Hittner's comments on the defense from his Grit Code podcast? Thoughts on what he said if you watched? The only thing I saw was I thought, if I'm right in this podcast, his advice for Brandon Ayuk, which is not going to happen. So I did not see these comments.
Basically, he was really he was really disappointed in the defense. And he was like, he had some rather colorful language with it. He's like, you need to go tackle people, and you need to go be physical, and he's not wrong. I mean, they were not good enough. I wish Dante Whitner in his prime was walking through that door to play safety for us.
Oh God! Oh, good Lord, dude! Like, we would have already had the number 1 seed probably locked up by this game. We'd be, just playing some non-starters.
I mean, if just imagine if you had Dante Whitner's mentality and mind in Malik Mustafa's body,
dude.
Because Dante Whitner played like he was Malik Mustafa's physical stature.
Right.
And Mustafa there, he's going through the ups and downs of a second year campaign, where there's ups and downs. And right now he's kind of on a downtrend. He had an uptrend, and now he's kind of on that downtrend, and he's got a correct course on that.
Jair Brown.
And go and Jair Brown's been. This defense is the up and down defense.
It is.
Maybe not the no-name defense. It's the up and down defense.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Right. And so, it's hard to say from the outside perspective when you see things like this of what exactly is going on there. Is it kind of whack-a-mole with some issues? Is it just systemic issues with players that they don't have, their hips aren't smooth enough, or they just consistently struggle reading certain things? Not sure. Some of these issues, you sit there and go, okay, I don't want the answer to be, well, we've got to get you really got to get into the offseason and correct this stuff in the offseason. That's not going to fly right now.
Yeah.
I think overall this defense they need some stronger leadership of accountability on every single play. One thing Fred brought every single play was you would see him make absolute corrections on the field. You could watch it on tape where there would be a play happen, he would stop and he'd point guys out. That's your man. That's what you need to do here. Because Fred knows everybody's responsibilities on the defense. You don't have that. Tatum Bethune does not know everybody's responsibilities on the defense. D. Winters does not know everybody's responsibilities on
No,
the defense.
no.
And so, that's what they're missing. If you're missing that, then you have got to be known as a team, as a defense that when you arrive to hit, you arrive with bad intentions. You are going to separate ball carriers from the ball, and you are going to not give anybody yards after contact. And they're not doing that. They've got to land on something as their identity because your pass rush is not your identity, clearly. Your ball hawking is not your identity, clearly. Your run stopping is not your identity. Something has to be your identity right now. And if you can put something in there, you could say, well, we can be the hardest hitting team right now. That's what we can land on, as this is what we do better than anybody else. They've got to land on something here in this last week, the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think on offense, our identity is the Dougie, and I'm okay with it. A couple things here I want to get into. Some other things that were is on our concern list for Seattle. Before I do that, I want to remind you guys to hit the notification bell. Of course, follow, like, share with your friends. If you see Niner Faithful out and about, take your phone, show them the channel, tell them to hit the notification bell, because every time we do a show, we see people that check in and say, "Oh, I didn't see that you guys were going. Oh, sorry, I missed part of it." And I always wonder, did they hit the notification bell? Also, because of times like this where we don't always go at the times that we want to be able to. Johnny's on vacation, but when he comes back and videos are coming or whatnot, you want to be in the know. And so make sure you hit the notification bell. Also, check out Sports Idiot Nation. I go with two of my buddies every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Um, so you guys met Ti. He was on our show here, and I do another show with him every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So check out Sports Idiot Nation. We are going to talk all things Seattle now and really dive into just some of the things that Johnny thinks we should maybe keep an eye out, or why this will be a tough game. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball. We've talked about Smith and Jigba. We've talked about Sam Darnold. We've talked about their offensive line. They don't have CMC over there. They have a couple good running backs. I do think their coach is a very competent coach. I think he's pretty solid. He's just overall new. He hasn't been a head coach for like
Man,
10 years.
you're throwing some shade there at Mac. A very competent coach. Look, he's done an incredible job. Mike
Yeah.
McDonald has done an incredible job. They are. Um, I like football on vacation. John looks like climbed out of a foxhole. A little bit. I don't have my normal lighting. Um, but it was camera angles suck on these laptops. Um, but I'll say this game's gonna this game's gonna come down to the passing attack with both teams. That's an area where both teams have an advantage. It just comes down to which one will the defense either play above their punch above their weight, and where I guess I'm trying not to be overconfident on this. I look at it that Seattle's pass defense is one of the best in the league. Actually, I can say they're about top 8 in the league. They're one of the better ones.
Yeah, that's
They're top 8 in the league, absolutely. But they
yeah.
don't have a whole lot farther they can go. Like you look at this Seahawks defense and you say, okay, how much better can their defense go from here against the pass? I don't think they can get that much better. The 49ers offense has been a top 5 passing attack in the league the whole year, especially since Brock's come back. Like they were top 7, I think, top 7, top 6, and then Brock's come back and they're really like top 3 passing attack in the league. Maybe even the best passing attack when you really start looking at the numbers. I don't think anybody the last 3 weeks has been throwing the ball around better than the 49ers, which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
Can the Seahawks defense be that much better than what they are now? I don't think they can. They don't have, they're already really good, and the 49ers already have an advantage over them in that sense. The 49ers defense has been really bad against the pass in a lot of metrics. The Seahawks have been mid throwing the ball. They've got a really explosive guy in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Outside of that, there's not a lot. There's a lot of good, but not a lot of, like they're limited outside of that. They've been terrible at running the ball. So I look at it and I say, okay, both teams have an advantage over the other as far as their passing attack versus the passing defense that they're facing. The difference is that the 49ers have an ability to be better. There's much more room for growth for them. It's not necessarily that they are capped by just pure talent. There's a lot of things going into it, but um they don't have as much room to grow. So if I look at this matchup and I say, okay, which defense is going to punch above their weight? I don't know. Which one has the better, I guess, likelihood of punching above their weight? The 49ers defense, because they have so much farther to go. And so if your passing defense can punch above their weight, this game is 49ers all day long. There's nothing in here that makes me say, okay, the 49ers can't move the ball and score points. It's can you get enough stops or a couple takeaways versus Sam Darnold? That's where it comes down to. So when I look at this matchup, it's going to be about which passing defense punches above their weight just a little bit and which one is more likely to do that. And I think it's the 49ers pass defense.
So is there, I always ask, like, is there something in particular on offense, like either a certain player? We know what Darnold can do. He's pretty good when he's on time and the scripted everything works out. And Jigba, good. Their running backs, we talked a little bit, like they can get things done. Is there a certain X factor besides those that you see? And if not, we'll flip it and go to their defense. But is there anything?
Cooper Kupp's kind of the X factor to me. Like, does he really come on here at the end and start to look like Cooper Kupp of a couple years ago?
He's got to be fired up, you would think. I mean, the Niner rivalry for him is still there.
Yeah, and I mean, if he really comes along as a second option for them, that's where their offense starts to become really scary.
That's
because you put Jackson Smith and Jigba with, if Cooper Kupp even starts to look like shades of Cooper Kupp, where the guy was almost unguardable.
Triple crown guy.
Right. Like, I mean, this is a 2,000-yard receiver kind of guy. Now I know he doesn't have the explosive, but he was never that fast.
No.
Like he really wasn't. It seems like some of his lateral movement isn't quite there, but maybe it's still lingering coming back. Maybe it just won't be there. But if Cooper Kupp starts to look like even 1,000-yard receiver, that's where Seattle starts to look like they could run the table on anybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, then let's switch over the ball. On defense, what do you think that they do very well that we need to, recognize and see?
They are the best run defense in the league, and it's not close. I mean, they're ridiculous. If you look at their metrics, say, defending the run outside the tackles, they're number 1 in the league. Rushing in the red zone, number 3. Rushing under center, number 1. Overall rushing, number 1. Designed runs, number 1. Rushing versus the stacked box, number 1. Rushing versus the light box, number 7. Rushing in shotgun, number 7. Rushing from inside the tackles, number 5. I mean, they are the best run defense in the league. And I think it was last year when I was watching the game against the 49ers. I came away. It was a game we lost. I was so disappointed in the offensive line but that loss is aged very well because the biggest struggle we had was not being able to run the ball against them. In retrospect, that has been their MO. I mean, they are I would say that, like what our MO was in 2019, 2021, 2022, nobody ran the ball on us. That's what they are. They're that good of a rush defense. And I mean, they played as well as anybody. They get their safeties involved. They're always coming down, ready to hit. They are a problem. They run so many stunts and slants. They're good at it. They time everything together. That it, what Mike McDonald has done, and I wonder if going into this game, Shanahan is going to say we're going to lean into the gap runs more, much like we did against LA, because they run so many stunts, so many slants, so many crash blitzes in there that you say, okay, can we take advantage of this? And you're gonna have to guess right at the times. There's gonna be guesswork involved in here. We don't like that, especially from like the Shanahan tree. They don't like guesswork. We need to know this is, we have a 98% probability that this is going to work out. But there's going to be some guesswork in here because when we played Seattle week 1, I saw more line slants from their defense and run line slants, meaning they're messing with your run blocking rules so quickly and so violently at the snap that it becomes really hard to execute your assignments. Can you hit them on those? Can you run some gap schemes, some counters that are going to hit at the right time? You do that, now you can start to run the ball on, but it's not easy. Obviously, they've been doing this all year, but they're one of the best in the league at doing that. They run a lot of run blitzes on first and second down, and they understand what needs to happen. And against the 49ers, what needs to happen. So what do I mean by that? That like they'll bring a safety on a blitz through the B gap. And what they'll look to do is if it's a play action pass, if that guy is aiming for the running back the whole time. He's not blitzing to get to the passer, because what they want to do is if it's a pass, they want him to take out the running back so that running back is not a check down option. And so their linebackers can play with a ton of depth and play those intermediate crossers that everybody loves to run against off play action. So they come with a lot of those. We saw Brock throw a pick on that last year, or in the first week of the year. They ran that exact same thing. We were going with a play action pass. They blitzed through the B gap, maybe even the A gap. McCaffrey had to abort his fake, go pick him up. He's not a check down option. Brock is trying to force that layered throw down the middle of the field, and he gets picked off. So they're really good at doing all of those things to disrupt your run game, then your play action game. They are the best, I think, at doing that scheme wise, and it starts there. So you have to find a way to get them out of that, and that's going to be a dogfight the whole way.
So another super chat, James Foster. Thank you for the super chat. And I want someone to check, either Johnny or the chat, can KB get another bonus?
Yes.
Okay,
He has another
that's what I thought.
250K bonus. I think he said he's 42 yards away from another 250K, 42 or 49, something like that. It's less than 50.
Let's get him 50 yards, maybe even bigger, because
he's going to have a lot of motivation to make any catch that bonus catch.
So we're all expecting Bourne to have an impact this game.
Yeah, and look, he's at the point in his career where there's maturity that comes with that, where there becomes an extra motivation. It's not just I want another 250K to go party or to go buy another car. Like, he spent most of his 500K on investment property.
No, exactly. I saw that video too. Great, good for him.
So,
that's the way to do it.
So he's looking at, he's not looking at 250K as 250K. He's saying, if I get this is going to pay for my kids' college.
Right.
Like, all of them. Like, I'm going to be able to invest this and turn this into enough to pay for all of that, or sort of thing. Like,
generational wealth.
This dude's going to be highly motivated to make this happen. And so I do believe that Kendrick Bourne's going to have an impact.
Yeah. No, I love it. So I want to know your take on this. Because I'm going to play it the same way if it was someone from another team. if CMC finds a way to get 1,000 yards receiving, to me, it's
It'd be
an
a tough task.
asterisk, and it will be tough. But to me, it's an asterisk because if Saquon was in the same boat and the season is now 17 games, whereas for a jillion years it was 16 games, then to me, it's a little bit of an asterisk. Am I a Scrooge, or is there something? It's still a great feat. I'm not saying that it's like, oh, pedestrian. It's still elite and like all pro level. But when we talk about Roger Craig and Marshall Falk and CMC before and people who have done this, it was in 16 games. Am I a Scrooge?
I mean, no, I think we're all in a point where like there's the pre 17 game and post 17 game stats where we look at everything. I mean, because say for example, um, Jerry's different records, like touchdown record, is coming under threat. We always say, you know, it was when Cooper Cup's on a tear and he's doing that, and it's in 17 games. What do we always say? Well, you know, Jerry did in 16. We're going to put that asterisk on anybody else, right? You look at when that thousand happens. If Saquon does it, we're going to say, well, Roger Craig did it when it was 16 games. You know, how much more impressive is that? The sack record right now, you're going to look at it and say, well, you know, Strahan did 22 and a half in 16
In
games.
right,
Yes, one
Miles
was gifted
Garrett.
to him in the last one, but Miles, like there's going to be that there. Like there really is, because you look at per game averages and it is just less impressive. So yes, that's a huge deal to get those. I mean, to get that no matter what is incredible. You know, you can look at, even though like this is, I think I don't think we're seeing necessarily a like historic year from McCaffrey in that sense, where you're going to say all time great performances from a running back in a season.
Yeah.
I think clearly is there. I mean, you
Yeah,
could look
yeah,
at Garrison
clearly.
Hurst 1998 and say Garrison Hurst's season that year was much better than what McCaffrey's doing right now. Garrison Hurst had like 2,300 yards from scrimmage. It was wild. I mean, dude had like
Crazy.
ran for like 1,500 some yards. Had I think it was 800 yards receiving. I mean, just wild. He
Yeah.
was such an incredible talent. I'm still upset about the broken ankle in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Um,
Atlanta.
but uh, so I mean, in that sense, if he gets it, yeah, there's I mean there is, just like there's with any records now where it's 17 games, and if you go to 18 games, it's going to be even double that. I mean, there's a reason why, like the moment they go to 17 game seasons, within 2 years, half the season records are broken.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Another super chat
Oh, y'all are
from
awesome,
Con.
making the vacation happen.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
What's with Brock having problems hearing the play calls? Yeah, I have seen him go to the, this. It's happened twice in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, I think we may just be noticing a little bit more. I remember that used to happen all the time with Harbaugh. That they were always having headset issues. Where I think Smith had talked about it, that there was a number of times he was just calling a play in the huddle, because especially with that offense, because when in doubt, it was run the ball. So he would just call a run
Yeah.
that they would have in there when he couldn't hear the play call. But I remember there was one time they had to switch out helmets in the middle of a game because they were having headset issues. I don't know what the issues are. I mean, you would think $1 billion franchises there would never be any sort of issues with these headsets. The technology we have today, you know, get a 5G in there or something. I don't know.
It
At
happened in
this
the Rose
distance,
Bowl.
Bluetooth it. I don't care. Like,
It happened to
um,
Mendoza in the Rose Bowl. It was 3rd and 10, and in shotgun they ran the ball, and I'm like, and this is when the game was close, and I'm like, why is IU running the ball on 3rd and 10? And it's like, oh, previously he was going like this and he was going like this, and they couldn't get the play in, and he just, I think, called a run, and they had to
yeah,
punt.
yeah,
It was one of the only punts that IU needed to worry about that game, as they
yeah.
pummeled
I mean,
your
look, in
Tide.
Indiana, what they've done is phenomenal. I mean, uh, Imagine if they had old CJ West still on their team. CJ
Man.
be looking like a top second round pick. But no, I mean Indiana has been phenomenal. Mendoza's going to be a Raider next year. Poor guy. That's just a foregone conclusion at this point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, exciting to see since I live in Indiana. All right, so I think we're ready for. Let's get you back to your family, man. Let's get some scores. I am thinking that we score 30, and I've just been struggling with how much are we going to give up, and I'm going to say 24. So let's get your scores in, guys. What are you thinking, Johnny? What say you?
I think it's going to be 27-21 49ers.
That's fair.
I don't think we get to 30. I think Brock's going to get a couple. I think CMC's going to get one, and I think we kick a couple field goals. Um, I think it's going to be a game that we're going to be worried about the last drive for the Seahawks.
No Greenlaw to shut the door, huh?
I will say, one thing that I guess if you really think about this defense on the year, one thing that has been their calling card, their hallmark, is that they've stood tall and stopped other opposing teams in the biggest moments on the final drives. I mean, they may give up 30 points in a game, but they will stop the team on the final drive. They have been a closer this year. I mean, you look at that was what they did last play of the game against the Bears. They closed the game out. When we beat the Seahawks week 1, they closed the game out. When you look at the game against the Rams on Thursday Night Football, it was the defense, 4th down, closed the game out. A number of their wins this year have been that way. They've closed the game out. So they may be a defense that doesn't always play great, but in the biggest moments of the game, they've been able to close. That's been the two things that are so different this season compared to last season. Is not Brock, it's not the passing game, it's not even the run game. It is special teams has not missed half their field goals, and the defense hasn't become the worst fourth quarter scoring defense in the league. Those are the differences this year between this year and last year. And it's wild that we're sitting here already with twice the amount of wins that the 49ers had all of last year. And we're saying, okay, the only difference, while everybody was harping on the offense last year, the difference truly is that the defense has, as bad as that they've been as far as allowing points this year, and they've had a no-name defense, they have not been a sieve in the fourth quarter where they've given up leads. And that our kicking game is actually making field goals. Imagine that your kicking game actually makes field goals. But if there's anything here, I think the game 27-21, and it comes down to they make a crucial stop on a 4th down against the Seahawks to get the number 1 seed.
That would be amazing. I am down to not leave the Bay Area for quite some time. That would be amazing. We've talked about that. So, reminder to take your phone and show it to Niner fans. Show them this channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Also, be sure to check out Sports Idiot Nation every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Happy New Year. We're happy to ring in the new year with you guys. Thanks to Johnny thanks to the lovely Dawn Dell. No, I'm thanking your wife.
Yes.
For allowing her husband to come hang out while on vacation. Hope your family's having an absolute blast. Go be with them. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.